Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. I'm Hero Dadia. One company that is in focus is the Titagarh Wagons. Titagarh Wagons and Ramakrishna Forgings Consortium has emerged as the lowest bidder for manufacturing and supply of 15.4 lakh forged wheels over 20 years under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative of the Ministry of Railways. In fact, in September 2022 itself, Ashwini Vaishnav had announced the floating of a tender inviting only Indian players to set up a manufacturing facility to produce these wheels. Joining us on the show to discuss the modalities is Umesh Chaudhary, VC and MD at Titagarh Wagons. Welcome to the show, Umesh, and congratulations firstly on the win.
Thank you very much, Hiral.
Right. Umesh, my
It's a
first
pleasure being
question,
with you.
always a pleasure to speak to you as well. Umesh, firstly, if you could help us understand details in terms of this L1 order that we've got.
Hiral, I'm unable to hear you. I'm sorry. There's some problem with the connection.
Yeah, Umesh, are you able to hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Umesh, if you could help us understand details of this order.
Sure. So this is a very interesting project. India has always been deficit for having a deficit for wheel sets for railway rolling stock. And as wagon manufacturers, we've always faced challenges in our production for want of wheel sets, and we've had to import wheels from all over the world, whether it's from China, from Romania, from Ukraine, from Czech Republic, and whatnot. So it was always a question that used to come up that why can India not have its own wheel capacity? But somehow the government of the past wanted to keep this only with the railway factory Bangalore, which is a railway undertaking. So it's a great initiative to make India really Atmanirbhar under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan of the Honorable Prime Minister. That they came up with a wonderful idea. The railway minister came up with a wonderful idea that if they gave a guaranteed base level of take to the Indian companies to set up a new wheel manufacturing facility, which will not only cater to the railway requirement but also cater to the private sector requirement and also be able to make in India for the world. So cater to the global requirement. So they floated this tender, which would be to acquire 80,000 wheel sets, a guaranteed offtake of 80,000 wheels per annum over the next 20 years. So it's a very large contract, visibility for 20 years. And with this, you get a certain amount of base load for your plant, and we can set up a plant which can be much larger capacity and which can be of global standards. Under this project participate, and we've always our company in the forefront of Make in India initiatives, whether it's in terms of metros, in freight wagons, in ships, and now in wheel sets. And along with a wonderful forging company, which is Ramakrishna Forging, they are extremely progressive, very professional, very good company. So we participated in this tender, and we've emerged the lowest bidder. And under this tender, once we are awarded, we will set up a plant which will be having a much larger capacity than the 80,000 wheels that we will supply to the railways, so that on one side we can cater to this requirement, but also cater to our own requirement and the market requirement, both
Right.
for India and the world.
Right. So overall, what's the total value of the contract so far?
So the contract that will be issued by the railways once it is issued would be about 14,000 crores. And but the project value would be maybe two and a half times of that.
Okay. And overall,
as I said, only a part will be guaranteed.
Sorry?
A part of the project would be on guaranteed offtake, and the rest would be for the open markets to absorb.
Right. And what's that breakup going to look like?
About 40%. Our target is about 40 to 45% to be a railway guaranteed offtake, and the rest capacity. Of course, the fine prints have to still be worked out between ourselves and our partners, and we will do that once we receive the formal awarding from the railways.
Right. And is this bid in equal consortium with Ramakrishna Forgings?
Yeah, it's more or less an equal consortium.
Okay. And when are we expecting to get the letter of award?
So normally the process is, it takes a few days for the letter of award, and the railways have been working very fast. This tender opened only about less than a month ago, and they've already
Hmm.
opened the price bid. So after doing the technical evaluation, so I'm sure that the railways will move very fast uh, in the normal style, which has been followed by them the last months, I would say.
Right. And overall, if you see in terms of the execution strategy, what is that going to look like? Because we are going to set up a completely new plant, right? So from the capex requirements to set up the plant,
Yeah.
to starting to manufacture, how is that looking like from a milestone perspective?
So the entire process will be about 2 years, about 24 months. In 24 months, we should start production.
Okay. And what is the kind of capex that we will require to set this up?
This would require about 1,000 crore of capex.
Okay. And how are we funding it?
So we will. I mean, it's too early to kind of discuss those nitty-gritties right now. We still have to do the dotting the i's and crossing the t's. So there are provisions where the government also would be giving some advances. There are and then both the companies are strong companies. Both the partners are strong partners with the.
Right. So, Umesh, overall, right. So, Umesh, overall, would it be right to say that we will see revenue recognition from these projects only from, say, FY25 onwards or 26?
Yeah, it will be the third year from now, so it will be 26, I would say.
Okay. And on a yearly
Revenue
basis,
recognition will come FY20.
right. So, overall, taking this order into consideration, we're seeing only from the third year, that's FY26 onwards. How is FY23 and 24 looking like, taking into consideration the current order book?
So we have a good order book. Last quarter, we did about 766 crore of revenue. If you compare it to a quarter that was prevailing maybe 4 years ago, we were at 75 crores on a quarterly revenue. So we've actually gone 10x in the last 4 or 5 years. I would say that the growth rate that we've been able to establish would continue in the sense of, I'm not saying that it will be 10x, but it will be definitely a healthy growth that we would have. We have an order book, last we declared was about 10,000 odd crores with the last results. And then we are hoping to be awarded the Vande Bharat contract, where we were L2 along with BHEL. So all told, with all these orders, we will have a very, very strong order book. So I
Right.
think that the growth trajectory from here on looks pretty decent.
Right. Apart from that, Umesh, when we look at Titagarh Wagons, it's always been a traditionally wagon manufacturing company, if I'm not wrong, right? Now we're looking at forged wheels as well. So are we seeing newer avenues which are actually opening up for companies like yours from the railway side?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, this whole thing, I think it's credit goes to the policies of the government, wherein, Indian industry has been transformed. And there's no other word that can be better describing this position than saying the whole landscape is transformed, whether it's in terms of the anything on to do with infrastructure, whether it's on the railways, whether it's the roadways, everywhere, but especially on the railways, whether it's Vande Bharat, whether it's the metros, whether it's the freight wagons or the wheels now. So as a company, we used to be traditionally a freight wagon manufacturer. Now we are a passenger train manufacturer. We are a metro manufacturer. We start manufacturing our own propulsion, and then we'll go into the wheels. So it is a big journey that has happened, and none of it could have happened without the extremely progressive, forward-looking policy of the government, of the Honorable Prime Minister and the Railway Minister, where Make in India and Atmanirbharta or self-sufficiency has been promoted or kind of made the center of policy making.
Right. And Umesh, with that, usually we've seen railway companies not really have, capacity utilization levels move up because the order inflows have always been pretty erratic. Now that there are large order flows coming in, and you're setting up more capacities as well, how are you expecting utilization levels to be like on an average basis?
So we've been increasing capacity. So it's very clear that we've been able to kind of utilize our entire capacity. And then only the capacity increase, when we talk about private sector investment into infrastructure or into capacity building, it is only when the existing capacity gets kind of saturated or at least to a great extent utilized, then we add up capacity. And that's what's happening in our case also, not only in Titagarh's case, but in general as far as the industry is concerned.
And overall, from a Titagarh perspective as well, we've done a lot of debt reduction as well. So where does the debt level stand from here on? And where would you like to take your debt levels down to from the current picture?
So now we are long-term debt-free. In terms of Titagarh Wagons is concerned, we've reduced debt continuously over the last 5 years.
Right.
So apart from working capital debt, we don't have any long-term debt, and we would be very conservative on our debt policy going forward also. We will only take on debt when required, if required, for the growth plans to sustain that. But in general, as a matter of policy, we are, I would say, we would like to keep a conservative debt policy.
I mean, that's good here as well. And just coming back to the order win, the recent order wins that we have in bag and the ones that we are bidding for, will the margins remain pretty much in line with what our current margin trajectory is? Or do we see an increase or decrease on the margin front because of the new orders?
So the margins would remain around the same trajectory. Of course, with the volumes, there might be a slight improvement going forward because the fixed cost gets better amortized. But I would not say that it would be a kind of a quantum change, but it will be an improvement, of course.
Right. And Umesh, my last question coming to you is, how are you expecting your ROC levels to be like on annualized basis? Do you think we can get back to double-digit ROCs like we used to have in 2011, 2012?
Well, we've already got into a double-digit ROCs in the last quarter, in the last 6 months, 9 months. So we've increased last first months of this financial year has gone up from what it used to be up 2.5%, 3% in 4 years ago. We've gone up to about 15%.
And sustainable?
In terms of, I think why only sustainable? We'd like to improve upon it.
Absolutely.
And our endeavor is to improve upon it.
Absolutely. Umesh, thank you so much for speaking to us at BQ Prime, and congratulations once again and good luck for the upcoming pipeline as well. Looking forward, great goings from here on.
Thank you very much.